Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of EuroStep, one of the best and most important ones because we are going to be talking about the best time of the season, the playoff series. And for that, as you know, I have my co-host and resident expert, Dane Arlauckas, and a very special guest.
Oh, hello, Sophia. And you know it's got to be playoff time when we're bringing out the big guns like our guest here this week.
Exactly. We are armed this week as we couldn't think of a better guest to join us to talk about what happened on the last week playoffs and what's going to happen this week's playoffs.
Me to join you today. It's a big pleasure.
Yes, we're gonna be talking again about the highlights of last week and what are our predictions for this playoff series. Also, guys, we want you to get involved. We want you to send questions. We want you to send comments. Discount to offer to you tonight. You can enjoy a 10% off with the code WATALON10. And only won one of the games, losing the second one to Bayern de Munich. Real Madrid, as we said, holds home court advantage, winning two of them, and Maccabi Tel Aviv known. Armani Exchange Milan lost the first game and to Anadolu Efes Istanbul and won the second game. And Olympiacos won the first game at home and lost the second one to Monaco. So this is how the playoff series is looking. Like this week, we have another series to expect. But let's look into what happened last week. Because in the first game between Bayern, between Barcelona and Bayern de Munich, which is a playoff A, we saw that Barcelona won by 10 points, 77 to 67. But it was not always like that because Barcelona had a little bit of trouble at the beginning of the game, but then they got to come back at the second quarter and ended up winning. Do you think that, Jonas, they have winning potential?
Oh, of course they have, and they showed it even in a second game. Then they were down by 15 points, I think, at halftime, and they increased the level of the defense in the third quarter, and they managed to came back in the game to -5 or -4 points. But these two lucky 3-point shots in the end of the third quarter when Bayern scored. I think in 19 seconds, 2 3-point shots, made the lead again 11 or 10 points, and it was, mentally, I think, tough again to do the same. But of course, Barcelona is the team which supposed to be, everybody thinks that they supposed to win this playoff against Munich Bayern. And I think that's what's supposed to be, but Bayern Munich showed that they are not ready to give up, and little bit because of luck, little bit of better concentration and better scouting report. I think they managed to win the second game in Barcelona, which is huge for them.
What do you think?
Yeah, Sophie, we talked last week about it, and we knew that Bayern was going to come out and just swinging for the fences in that game one. And they actually did pretty well to start off the game with that nice first quarter where they were actually in the lead in the Palau Blaugrana. And that, I don't know if it surprised me or really anybody, because Barcelona, through the last few weeks of the season, they had just kind of switched off. They were kind of on cruise control, waiting for that playoff season to come. And when it eventually does come, it kind of takes you a little bit of time to get back into that rhythm, back into that, 100% competition. And so we saw that kind of gradually progress for Barcelona in that game one. But really what I was impressed about, you want to talk about Barcelona being a threat for this title? Of course they are. They've been the favorites all season. But when they play defense like they did in those final third quarters in that game one, that's when this team really starts to get scary, because we already know the offensive weapons that they have are endless. From top to bottom, anybody can score, anybody can beat you. You talk about Mirotic, you talk about Exum, you talk about Davies. Anybody, we all know that that's the danger part. But if Barcelona is defending like they did in that game one, then everybody else in the league has a big problem. And you know what? I thought it was game one that Bayern was going to stun them, but it turned out to be game two that Bayern caused the upset, beating Barcelona 75-90. And Munich, they look good. They look strong. I want to know, Jonas, how nervous should Barcelona be moving forward?
Well, I think all the pressure is on them now because Bayern Munich reached their goal. They won. They stole one victory in Barcelona, and now they go back home already. Like I don't know, they managed to do what they wanted. I think maybe they really deeply dreamed about it, but now it's all the pressure on Barcelona because if they're gonna start the same the third game in Munich with no concentration and I don't know, and they won't solve some defensive tricks of Bayern, because I saw in the second game they managed to double, sometimes even to triple on a low post Mirotic, and then he had a hard time pass out the ball, and the inside outside game was totally ruined, and so they have a lot of work to do. They have to do scouting to make some solutions, and it's going to be tough for them. I think it's going to be tough because we know how strict is Sharas, how everything has to be by the book. It's going to be tough for them. It's this game by the book puts more pressure, on them, and it's I think Bayern going to be more relaxed, and that's it. I think it's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna be tough. I think this was surprising for all because we were definitely not expecting this. Actually, in the last episode of EuroStep, we said that it was gonna be 3-0 for Barcelona, and we're not expecting that they would lose, at least at home. Maybe we could have expected that they lost to not at home. So now it's actually a hard moment for Barcelona. I'm excited to see what happens. I love this emotion in the playoff, and let's not forget that this is only the second time that Bayern Munich wins in Barcelona. So this is a huge step in happening on the playoff. So I'm really excited to see what happens in these next two games. I'm gonna drop my predictions right away, and I'm gonna pass the ball to you guys, Jonas first, and then Dane. I think that we're going to witness a game 5 in Barcelona. I think that this week is going to be 1-1 Barcelona Bayern Munich. I think they are motivated. They have the reasons, they have the motive, but ultimately I think that who's going to make it to Final Four is Barcelona, but I think we'll see emotion till the end. What about you, Jonas?
Well, I think the same, that we're going to see the 5th game in Barcelona, but I think that the 3rd game going to be tough, but Bayern Munich going to win it. And the 4th game in Munich, Barca going to find some solutions, and they're going to manage to win the 4th game, and we're going to see the 5th game in Barcelona. And as well as you, I think that Barcelona going to be in the Final Four anyway.
What about you think?
Well, it was Sofia. Jonas was telling us before we got on air here that he had already picked a 3-2 series win for Barcelona. So he saw this going 5 games a long time ago. We were a little bit more surprised by seeing Munich win in Barcelona, but for me, I think this is the biggest game in Bayern Munich's club's history. Getting a win in Barcelona in that game too, coming back with really no pressure, like you said. There's just this sense of relief that, hey, we did something that nobody really expected us to do. Now we're back home. Let's have some fun. Let's try to see if we can stun these guys one more time. Throw that knockout punch, and let's just see if we stun the big boys. But I do think Andrea Trinchieri, he knows that. He said it in the post-game interview after winning that game too in the Palau Blaugrana. He said, I'm very realistic. I'm excited, but I'm realistic. Barcelona has been in this situation. They know how to navigate this. We're still the rookies. We're the young guys here just trying to cut our teeth. And right now, I think that's what's going to happen is Barcelona's going to come out. Bayern's going to play their hearts out in game 3. They're going to keep it tight, but I think that Barcelona takes it in game 3. And once they have game 3 in their pocket, 1 game away, they're just going to take care of business in game 4, wrap it up in the 4th game, and book their ticket to Belgrade.
Well, those were our predictions for the playoff A. Now let's jump into playoff B against Olympiacos Piraeus in the 7th place as Monaco, where we saw another surprise because in the first game, Olympiacos kept their really home form with winning at home and 71-54, being the lowest score for AS Monaco in the season. How impressive were Olympiacos in this first game, Jonas?
Well, first of all, Olympiacos was a little bit nervous at the beginning of the game. They started not so well, only 8 points in the first quarter. It was a tough game for them, but it's a good thing for them, actually, for Olympiacos, that Volkov did a great job on the defense against Mike James, and Mike James was completely out of the game. And both teams actually shot 3-point shots not so good, which is maybe more like weapon for AC Monaco, but Volkov did an incredible job to stop the main leader, to disconnect him from a team, and Olympiacos was a little bit nervous, but the old guy, Yorgos Printezis, stepped on the floor and did his job. He was a surprise factor for this game, and he did incredible job, actually, and released the pressure, and Olympiacos, I could say, won the game, won easily. And in the second game, it was I don't know. Obradovic used the same weapon against Olympiacos guards and put Utara on Volkov and Slukas, and they were totally disconnected from a team, and then they made a big run, 15-0. Actually, without Mike James on the floor. It was a kind of surprise, but Olympiacos game was completely not organized, which is surprise. They cannot. This is not their game, run and gun. This is not their game, and they wanted to play long sets, long offenses, and then have enough time to come back, not to let Monaco to run on the fast breaks. And they couldn't they couldn't do this, and of course Mike James was a key factor in the end of the third quarter, and Olympiacos was destroyed completely. So it's going to be a tough games.
Well, Jonas, luckily for me, what I saw from Olympiacos in that opening was that they were a little shell-shocked, being in that first round of the playoffs for the first time in a long time. We expected it from Monaco because it's their first time in the playoffs, their first year in the EuroLeague, and they get to the playoffs. So those nerves are natural. But for a legendary team like Olympiacos, you kind of struggle to watch them struggling in that opening game. But you have to understand, it's a new coach, it's a new base. This team is still very young and still experiencing new things. But I do think in the end, their defense is what helped them get through those tough moments. And locking down on Mike James is always going to be a key. But anytime you keep the top-rated offensive team in Monaco to under 70 points, under 60 points even, that's an incredible feat. And so they did that so well in game 1, but in game 2, everything just kind of fell through their fingertips a little bit. And that was when Monaco shocked Olympiacos, giving the Greeks only their second defeat at home all season. Mike James, he was incredible in the second half, 21 of his 23 in that second half. And really, Sofia, I want to know, what weight does he carry on his shoulders? How important? Can Monaco win if he's not playing great?
Well, that's a tough question, and we would really need to see that with our own eyes to believe that. Last week we talked about how important Mike James is for Monaco, how he is leading the team, in how important he has become, especially since the change of coach. when he started to take the lead to actually be the star of the team. And they didn't win game one, but he was the lead in PIR with, I think, I don't know how much PIR he had, but it was the leader. And he got all of his points in the second half in game two, because in the first half he had just 1 point. So it's actually amazing the power that he has, to push the team forward. So we talk about how important he is for the team and how important and key he is for this playoff. So I don't know if Monaco could play without it. I think they don't want to experience it. But let's see what happens in these two games. What do you think, Jonas?
Well, for me was that this pair was the toughest one to predict, because I was really kind of afraid. Not afraid. I cannot how to say to explain, but I was really expecting, I could say, Mike James to explode, and if this is gonna continue what happened in a second half of the second game, that's gonna be huge, and I think that Olympiacos is gonna have a big, huge problems. But anyway, I think that the 2 games in Monaco are gonna be 1-1, and we're gonna see the 5th game as well. And anyway, because of all experience, because of the fans, in the 5th game, I think Olympiacos is gonna win and gonna go to the Final Four. That's my prediction. But I just say this because of the experience, and let's say the coaches and the players have more experience. But Mike James factor can change everything, completely change. So I'm kind of expecting this to happen.
Well, those were Jonas' predictions. Dane, what are yours? And we'll go to YouTube.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got this this is such an interesting series where Monaco, there were 2 completely different games. Monaco let James get into the offense, but he did that later on in the game. They got everybody else involved. They got Bacon involved. They got Andusic involved. And that's going to be the key for Monaco, because as important as Mike James is, he's got to get everybody else involved. I do think having that first game at home for AS Monaco, that's going to be kind of the same way that Olympiacos went into that game 1, where there's going to be a lot of pressure on them. They might come out a little nervy at the beginning, and I think Olympiacos takes advantage of that, gets out to a big lead, and carries that in. I think Monaco get 1 game, but I think it'll be game 4, and it goes back to Athens for game 5. And this has been a fascinating series for me. I don't expect it to go. Yeah, no, I'm going 5 games, and I just have no idea what's going to happen in this game, this series.
Well, that was us replying to the question from Angel Simopoulos, saying that if we thought that it was going to be a game 5 in this series. And then we have another comment from Johnny B saying in game 2, like Bayern, Monaco hit threes very well with Otara and Adjusic. They had 2 players who didn't play in game 1 who were fired. So we'll see what happens in this series. This is definitely one of the most exciting. We're midway through this playoff series, and some of the teams that will go to the Final Four could be decided this week. So we'll keep an eye on that. But all of the teams have one goal, have one objective, which is to make it to the Final Four and win the EuroLeague trophy.
It's our time to go claim what we've been chasing and win a championship.
You're working for times like this.
This really is fairy tale stuff. Anadolu Efes Istanbul fulfilled their championship destiny.
Playoff C puts Armani Exchange Milan against the defending champions Anadolu Efes, who, by the way, upset Milan in the first game with a spectacular win, 48-64. The fewest ever points for a team to score at home in the playoffs. Do you think that the Efes are showing champions vibes again, Jonas?
Well, I think that Efes is not in a champions mode yet, because the first game was for them was very tough. They missed a lot of shots. Okay, they managed to win, but still they were far away from the shape, like how say, to compete for a championship again. And in a second game, they, I don't know, Armani with all these injuries, it was a surprise for me, because I thought that it's gonna be a done deal. But in a second game, especially at the end, then Sergio Rodriguez came out because of his, I think, ankle injury. Shilps, sorry, carried the team on his Shields, yeah, carried the team on his shoulders, and it was a surprise. But it's gonna be tough for them. It's gonna be tough for them, because for Milano, I think Ettore are gonna find the ways to motivate the guys, but without some players like Meli, I don't know if Sergio Rodriguez is gonna play. Then Datome, I think he's coming back, but some other guys are missing. It's gonna be tough for them. It's gonna be really tough. But these two games showed that they have how to say, will. They have this fire. They want to compete. They want to fight, and that Anadolu Efes is far away from the best shape as champions, as defending champions.
Well, they may not be playing in championship form, Jonas, but I do think that they are showing their experience. That first game, who would have thought that a team with Micic and Shane Larkin are going to hold Milan to under 50 points? It's the defense that won that for that game for them, and that's the last thing you would expect from Ataman's side. I mean, you expect them to come out to run and gun, to outscore opponents in a flashy sort of fireworks-filled matchup. And so for them to do that, it shows me that this is a team that's ready to play. And that second game was a bit strange because of the injuries and all the things. But holding Milan to under 50 points, and they just had 8 assists in that first game, turned the ball over 15 times. That's almost impossible to win a game like that. And then game 2, it got a little away from them. But I don't know, Jonas, for me, with all those injuries, you had Meli out, you had Ditomi out, Rodriguez and Delaney out. How does that affect a team going up against a team with that many injuries? It's got to be hard to game plan, does it not?
Of course, because you named all the starting 5, I think. Basically, yeah. four out of five starting 5 players, so it's gonna be tough. Some other guys gonna need to step up and do some magic, magic tricks, and I don't know. It's gonna be tough for Milano. I don't know what kind of magic Ettore Messina gonna do, but I don't see Milano actually winning any more games in this series. Honestly.
Sofia, we have a comment from YouTube from Jaime or Jamie YT. Do you think Milan can still win this series with so many players injured? They've already done it once. Can they do it again?
Well, I think that it's going to be really tough, especially taking into account the team that they're facing, which is Efes. We're not talking about other team in the league, but the reigning champions, which is Efes. We need to also take into account the fans that they're going to find in Istanbul, because I don't know if you know, but the tickets for game one played in Istanbul were sold out before the date and before the opening was known for this playoff series. So it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be hard because we have been talking about all the season long about Shane Larkin and Michic. So it's gonna be tough to beat Efes with so many players injured. But like Jonas said, I think Shabon Shields played outstanding, and we were talking about him last week and how important he was gonna be for the team as well. Also, I don't think Milan coach is also very optimistic, because after game 2 he said this series is over, we need a miracle, or the odds are against us. So I want to know, guys, do you agree? You think this is it for Milan?
I agree completely because with so many players injured, I don't see Milano even, I cannot imagine what can happen that we would have a close games. I would think it's going to be both games 10 to 20 points lead, and only because at the end of the games maybe Efes is going to put on a court some young guys, and that's it. This is my prediction, because like Ettore Messina said, I don't see it, but miracle happens. This is basketball, and miracle happens.
What do you think, Dane?
Yeah, Messina, he knows all the right things to say, right? He's a great coach, but off the court and in front of the cameras, he's always got some little cheeky comment, or I've been in an interview with him, and he's messing with me. So I think this is very calculated what he says. It kind of takes the pressure off of them. They're in a kind of lose-lose situation right here. But with this comment, with the injuries, with everything like this, it sort of has a way of relieving that sort of pressure that's been put on Milano, because they've been so good all year and there was a lot expected. This was a team that was built to win a title. But unfortunately, the wear and tear of the season has sort of put a speed bump in their progress towards the Final Four. Now, Efes, this was a toss-up coming into the series. You really didn't have a favorite. Was Milano the favorite? Was Efes the favorite? Now it's cut clear. Now Efes is the out-and-out favorite to go into this, and I'm really going to be surprised if this goes 5 games. I think Efes takes care of business at home with both games, and they go on to their second straight Final Four.
Well, I think that in this time, all the three of us agree with this playoff. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm going to keep reading some YouTube comments. Some Angel of Justice is saying, I don't see them on a 5th match, although it's most predictable. Someone that thinks like us, can we get a 4-game, fives? And also Barca will be champion from Ban. So I guess we already have someone talking about Final Four champions, EuroLeague champions. Now let's jump into, I think, one of the most surprising games of the week, at least for me and Dane, because Jonas told us earlier that for him it was just like that. Maccabi Tel Aviv broke their winning streak with Real Madrid. They lost against Real Madrid at home, 84-74, in a spectacular game. Both games they lost. Do you think that they were disappointed? Do you think that they were expecting to win?
Well, obviously they came in expecting to win. Madrid was the team that everybody wanted to play coming into the playoffs. And unfortunately for Maccabi, they came into the Wissing Center and found the best Madrid that we've seen maybe all season, especially since at least two months ago. But for me, that game 1, Madrid was on fire from downtown. They couldn't stop hitting threes. They hit more 3-point field goals than they did 2-point field goals. And I talked to Avi Evan after the game, and he was telling me, he goes, listen, we lost this game, but we were in it until the very end. They shot lights out from downtown, and we still gave ourselves a chance up until like about 2 minutes left in the game. So they were comfortable with that loss, even though they felt like they could have got more. But Jonas, in that game 1, I don't know how you saw it, but it looked like Madrid had just changed things around a little bit.
Well, like I said, even before the series started, I predicted that Real Madrid gonna win 3-0, and I chose I bet with my friends that they're gonna become a champion. So this is my prediction. But yes, first game was unexpected, I think, for Maccabi, because I spoke with some journalists from Israel. They said, "What do you think?" They were very surprised, and they said, "We are going to win because Real Madrid is terrible." But this season reminds me the season of 2017-2018, when I was there in a team still, and we were struggling through all the season because of injuries, because of some accidents and so on, some surgeries, and at the end of the season, Real Madrid became champions, and I see this now because I follow them on social media, and I saw their practices after this. I don't know how you say this, these accidents. I don't know then about stories about Tompkins, about Yabusele, Huertas, and not Huertas, sorry, Thomas Hurtel, and all about these players. I saw, and I knew that this is gonna shake the team. Something gonna change completely. And this first game, Maccabi was in a game. Shane Larkin, yes,
Wilbekin.
Wilbekin. Sorry. Wilbekin was incredible with his 18 points. It was game like everybody expected, and Maccabi was in a game, but some lucky shots of Rudy. Not lucky. I would say experienced shots of Rudy, and great Tavares defense on the eight centers, and this was the key factors that Maccabi couldn't do nothing, because in the first two quarters they couldn't score from under the baskets, because Tavares was a huge factor to stop everything. Only Wilbekin was scoring. So the first game was so, and the second game was, we saw the old Real Madrid with running, playing defense, scoring, doing everything, even Hanga dunking some crazy dunks, So it was amazing to watch, and Maccabi didn't have any chance.
So Sofia, I wanted to ask you about that. It was a 95-66 final in game 2, and really was over from the first quarter. I mean, they scored almost 40 points in the first quarter. And you talk about a team that has just lost 8 out of 10 games to end the regular season. How impressive was the turnaround, Sofia?
Impressive, shocking, and surprising. We were talking about this last week. We didn't expect, at least I didn't expect, that Real Madrid was gonna take the 2 wins, especially taking into account how they ended the regular season. But I gotta tell you, I'm so happy now. I see them closer to the Final Four. I'm super excited, and we saw players that always show up when they're needed. Sergio Llull, Rudy Fernandez, Poirier, Fabien Coser. They played amazingly. They also had lost one because of COVID. Gabriel Deck, I think, is coming back today, so I'm really excited to see how they play in Tel Aviv. It's gonna be hard because defense there are wild, and they are a huge part of the team as well. But guys, I want to ask you for your predictions. I think Jonas made it clear that he thinks that Madrid is gonna take game 3. So what about you, Dane? What do you think?
Well, going back to the menorah is always going to be a tough feat for Real Madrid to just get to complete the series sweep. But for me, this is a team in Maccabi Tel Aviv that needs to get some more involvement down low. Ante Zizic is really one of the anchors of that side, and he had 2 terrible games in the Whizzing Center here at the Spanish capital. They've got to get him involved, and that will open up not just for Scotty Wilbekin, but that will give James Nunnally, Keenan Evans, those guys open space on the perimeter, and that's where this team needs to take advantage of Real Madrid, because we've seen them already. They've beaten Real Madrid at the Menorah just a few weeks ago, and they almost did it in game one, where they shut them down for about 4 minutes in the fourth quarter, almost came back on Real Madrid. That's the team that they need to see in the Menorah, and with that fan base there in Tel Aviv, that might push them to one win. I'm just giving Maccabi one win. I think Madrid wraps it up probably in the fourth game, as Maccabi, they take care of business in the game 3, and then Madrid wraps it up in game 4 and heads to the Final Four.
Well, I also think they're not coming back from Madrid. Also, we have Angel Simopoulos saying Real knows how to handle games like that against tough opponents. 3-1 for Real is most likely to happen. We'll see what happens with that. But Jonas, I want to ask you, I know you have been in this crazy playoff series. I want to ask you, how is it like to live the craziness in person of the playoffs and also to go to a Final Four?
Well, it is tough. It is tough, especially if you come to the playoffs without confidence, which sometimes happens, and it is really important to find the chemistry of a team, to be in the best shape in 5 games. Coaches needs to make calculation, how to practice, for you to run fastest, to jump higher, and to do everything the best in these 5 games. So it's really tough mentally. You are always nervous. You always overthink. It is hard, but with experience, with time passing, with more and more playoffs you play, you know how to handle it. You get experience, and you meet the playoffs relaxed sometimes. You know what's going on. You know how to handle how to handle the things, and which things you need to focus about, and which things are not important. So it's a huge thing even for the team, but but for the families of the basketball players, it's a huge thing too. To not to disturb them, to help.
It's a teamwork.
Yeah, it's a teamwork. Team, people around the team, and the family needs to be the one huge team, to do their best to help basketball players, the players who plays on the court, to be in the best shape, to be relaxed, to be focused, and to think nothing about else, just about basketball.
Yes, and speaking about that, there is something that I couldn't keep my eyes from, which is the trophies in the back. Can you show them, please?
Well, this is the only one.
There's only one we want to see, Jonas. That's the only one we care about.
This is the only one of 2015. Actually, I quit Real Madrid just before the Final Four in 2018. Maybe I would have 2 of them, but I'm lucky. I'm blessed to be part of a team in 2015 and to win this trophy in Madrid. After that was a huge thing, because the trophy came back to Madrid after 20 years. Sorry, 20. So it was a huge thing, and this is the best trophy in my room.
Well, Jonas, let's see if your prediction actually happens and Real Madrid wins the title in Belgrade. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you saw win this trophy serve as motivation for any players that are watching for this for this week's playoff series. And again, thank you so much for being with us today, for sharing your experience, for sharing your opinions and your expertise with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting one more time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dane, thank you so much for another day, another EuroStep episode. We'll see you guys next week again at 5:30 Central East Time on YouTube and EuroLeague TV. You know that you can watch all of our episodes on demand on EuroLeague TV on YouTube as well. And you can enjoy this 10% off on a monthly or annual pass on EuroLeague TV with the code WATALON10, excluding Italy or Spain. So start using it as soon as possible. And for all the EuroLeague content, you can follow EuroLeague on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever works best for you. We'll be back next Tuesday, 5:30 Central Time. Thank you all for the love, and see you next week. Have a good last week of playoffs.
Thank you.